Andrew has requested me on Patreon to review the film adaptation of Will Eisner's comic book hero, The Spirit, which was directed by Frank Miller. I admit I have very little familiarity with the original character, but I am aware he is a very influential and important figure in the history of comics, and quite a few filmmakers attempt to get a movie off the ground. One was Brad Bird, who pitched an animated version in the early 80s, and you can even find his pitch trailer online that he created with fellow Disney animators. He even managed to get Star Wars producer Gary Kurtz involved, but unfortunately no studio agreed to finance it, as they did not feel there was an audience for the serious animated superhero movie Bird wanted to make, and the film rights returned to Eisner. It's fascinating to think how differently Brad Bird's career might have gone, or even the state of American animation, had it been made. There was also an attempt to make a live-action television series, but only a pilot was produced, which ABC quietly aired over the summer, and Eisner reportedly hated. Eventually, this movie was released in theaters 3 years after Will Eisner's death, and it's one fans of the comics do not have a high opinion of. Like I said, I've not looked at the original comics, but it's not difficult to see why this was considered such a disappointment. This is a very strange movie, with Frank Miller making a lot of baffling decisions. First and foremost are the characters, who are an odd assortment. The Spirit, aka Danny Colt, has pretty much no personality as he runs around the city, flirts with multiple women, and tries to stop the villain. Nothing about him stands out as particularly interesting, as we even get more insight into his girlfriend than we do him. The main villain is the Octopus, played by Samuel L. Jackson, an actor who I always like seeing in anything, as he can bring plenty of charisma and is always interesting to watch on screen. However, it seems like he was given absolutely no direction here, not that the character he was given on the page gave him much to work with anyway. He has a complicated plot involving the blood of Hercules and a super serum, and I don't care about any of this. He is joined by Scarlett Johansson as the Octopus's henchwoman and his clone lackeys, and I'm going to make this prediction. When Johansson is given the AFI Lifetime Achievement Award in 30 years, I very much doubt this is going to be shown in the compilation reel of her best work. Like Jackson, it seems like she was given no direction here and brings no life to her character. The Octopus's gimmick throughout the movie is that he's dressed in an elaborate outfit every time we see him. We see him as a cowboy, a samurai, a doctor, and other get-ups because according to Jackson it was a way to make him seem larger than life. However, at one point we see him dressed like a Nazi, and not only that, but there are swastikas everywhere, and even a massive framed picture of Hitler. They really commit to the Nazi theme, but do they do anything with that? No, they do not. They just gloss over it for some reason. I'm sorry, but you cannot just put Samuel L. Jackson and Scarlett Johansson in Nazi uniforms and expect us to move on from that. But the movie is full of these scenes where I was just like, what is going on? What is happening right now? Although part of this is the dialogue. I understand the point is probably to emulate the style of comic dialogue, but there's a reason why that's meant to be read in word bubbles, while film dialogue is intended to be read by actors. The universe depicted in The Spirit is a curious one, because it's clearly meant to emulate the 1940s, but they use late 2000s technology like Nokia telephones and other devices. But then I remembered Gotham City has often been depicted this way, so I was not too bothered by that. Speaking of Gotham, the main musical theme sounded so much like the music from Tim Burton's Batman movies, I was genuinely shocked that Danny Elfman was not credited as the composer. Some of the most baffling moments involve the film's attempts at comedy, which felt completely flat for me. Everything is off about the humor, and many of the bizarre comedic choices, whether it's trying to do a sight gag or physical comedy, don't work. It all feels like an in-joke that only Frank Miller finds funny. One of the few things that made me laugh was near the end of the movie, when the police chief simply tells the Spirit to stay out of his face, and I'm not even sure that was meant to be intentionally funny. He's just so obviously sick and tired of everything having to do with the Spirit. The one character I did like in the entire movie was the rookie policewoman, Officer Morgenstern. She did bring some spark to the proceedings of her spunkiness and her 1940s screwball comedy style of speaking. It's a shame she does not get to tag along with the main hero and only ends up with about 5 minutes of screen time. Finally, I will admit, despite all my problems in the movie, I was never bored of it. The whole film is so bonkers, I just had to know what Miller was going to pull next. Overall, it's an oddball experience and not a movie that I felt particularly worked, but I don't think I'll ever forget it either. Now, if you've seen The Spirit, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Andrew.